Have you ever stopped to think that Valentine's Day might be scarier than it seems? It might sound contradictory. After all, what could be sinister about a day that symbolizes love and romance? But the truth is, behind the candles, flowers, and candlelit dinners, there's a reality no one talks about, and it's far from happiness. While many celebrate love, there are those whose horror stories begin on this very day. And the strangest part? These stories are real, and their victims never imagined that a simple Valentine's Day could turn into a nightmare. Want to find out why Valentine's Day might be more dangerous than you think? Then get ready for stories that will make you rethink everything you've thought about this date. Valentine's Day. The day of love, flowers, and red hearts, right? But sometimes, this rosy picture hides a dark side that few know about. It's hard to imagine that something so closely tied to romance could have a macabre side. But the reality is that, for some people, this special day is marked by experiences far beyond love declarations. Real-life horror stories on Valentine's Day reveal that behind the scenes of candles and dinners, there is a layer of fear, stalking, and even obsession. What starts as a simple celebration of affection can quickly turn into a nightmare. And no, we're not talking about horror movies. These are accounts from people who have experienced situations that challenge the very idea of safety on a day meant to be filled with love and care. One of the biggest lessons from these stories is that the unknown might be much closer than we think, disguised as kindness or even as something seemingly harmless, like a simple gift. No matter how much we try to dismiss the idea of danger, the truth is that on Valentine's Day, danger can take on many different forms. And it's precisely this contrast between idealized love and unsettling reality that makes us question the true nature of our relationships and the intentions of those around us. What makes Valentine's Day truly terrifying is not the fear of rejection, but rather the realization that often we don't really know who is by our side. And that's exactly the kind of revelation that brings us to the story of a woman who, by a cruel twist of fate, found herself at the center of a series of events that turned her celebration into an uncontrollable nightmare. But what happened to her? Well, let's find out in the next story. Imagine being in a moment of happiness, expecting a simple gesture of affection, only to be confronted by something you never imagined. This woman, like so many others, never expected that Valentine's Day, a day she considered special, would mark the beginning of something that would change her life forever. What started as a quiet night of love and celebration quickly turned into a terrifying chase. She was caught off guard by a stalker, someone who, at first, seemed like just a distant shadow, but soon revealed himself to be much closer and more threatening than she could ever endure. What happened to her serves as an unsettling reminder of how often we fail to notice that we are being watched or even followed by someone with bad intentions. In this specific case, the stalker started with small appearances, those moments when you feel like something is off, but you just can't pinpoint what. As the night went on, he gradually got closer in an almost imperceptible way, and what was supposed to be a light-hearted, happy occasion quickly turned into a nightmare. The fear of no longer being in control of her own safety left a deep mark on her, and she realized that her biggest mistake was ignoring the early warning signs. Her story teaches us an important lesson. Never underestimate the power of a weird feeling or a sense that something is out of place. Often, our intuition is there to protect us, but out of fear of overreacting or seeming paranoid, we choose to ignore it. She, for example, could have acted sooner, but thought she was just being dramatic. The stalker, noticing her vulnerability, took advantage of the situation, and things quickly spiraled out of control in an unpredictable and dangerous way. This experience, though terrifying, also serves as a warning for our next topic, where we'll explore how a simple Valentine's Day gift can hide much darker intentions. For many, Valentine's Day is a time of celebration, but for this woman, it became a turning point that made her see the man she was dating in a completely different light. She thought she was about to experience a romantic and enchanting evening like so many others. But what she didn't know was that the gift he was about to give her would have a far greater impact than she could have ever imagined. The gift was beautiful, something that seemed full of affection and good intentions, but as the night unfolded, it revealed the dark side of the man she barely knew. At first glance, the gift seemed simple, a piece of jewelry, carefully chosen to mark the occasion. But what should have been a sweet gesture turned unsettling when she started to realize that the present came with something unspoken. It wasn't just a token of affection. Its true purpose was to establish a deeper and more controlling bond. His words, barely noticeable at first, grew heavier, and the idea of possession became increasingly clear. What was supposed to be a night of romance turned into a disturbing experience, making her question her own choices. The most unsettling part of this episode is that, until that moment, she had no idea how to recognize the warning signs. What seemed like a dream night was, in reality, a subtle test to see how much control he could exert over her. In situations like this, it's essential to recognize the red flags before they escalate into something truly dangerous. As with any relationship, especially on occasions like Valentine's Day, the intentions of those around us must be observed carefully. But what happens when someone's past resurfaces and threatens everything you built? Well, let's explore that in the next story. Picture this. You're trying to move on with your life, leaving behind a relationship that, no matter how significant it once was, is now over. The last thing you expect is for your ex to return on Valentine's Day to haunt your life in ways you never could have foreseen. This is the story of a woman who, after ending a relationship, found herself being stalked by her ex in an increasingly desperate manner. Valentine's Day, which should have been a peaceful day, turned into a nightmare of relentless pursuit, threats, and a constant feeling of insecurity. Blinded by obsession, her ex saw the occasion as the perfect opportunity to try and regain control over her life. He started with messages, seemingly innocent at first, but his true intentions soon became clear. He knew where she was, what she was doing, and even who she was with. A simple act of affection, like a gift or an attempt at communication, quickly escalated into a complete invasion of her privacy. She found herself trapped in her own home, afraid to go to work, meet friends, or even live her life. What was supposed to be a day of love turned into a threat to her freedom. The most terrifying part of this story is the feeling of helplessness that comes when you realize you're being watched by someone from your past. And no matter how much they were once a part of your life, what happens when they refuse to accept that it's over? This woman, like so many other victims of obsession, saw her life spiral out of control, and the only way to escape the torment was, unfortunately, to take drastic measures to ensure her safety. In the end, she learned the importance of severing all ties, both emotional and physical, with someone who, in the name of love, only sought to imprison and control her. But is that ever truly enough? In the next chapter, we'll see how fear and control can be overcome, or perhaps not. So what do you think? Will you continue to believe that Valentine's Day is just about romance and flowers? Or will you start seeing this date from a different perspective? The stories we shared today serve as a warning. Love isn't always what it seems. Sometimes it disguises itself as obsession, control, and even real danger. Now it's up to you to decide. How will you protect yourself emotionally from situations like these? Will you trust your instincts and stay alert to the warning signs? Or will you ignore them until it's too late? If you're truly determined not to fall victim to toxic love, the time to act is now. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to keep learning how to protect yourself and understand the true intentions of those around you. Don't let fear control your life. Take control yourself.